Hey everyone, this is Once here with another battle report, my Bretonnians versus an Ogre Kingdom's army. This is the first time I've played against ogres in the under the new edition rules, and so really kind of interested to see what they could do. As normal, I'm just kind of putting what I'm facing up there, and you can read it as you see fit. I apologize for the characters in the other army not having more description about what they're carrying. I really just don't remember. But here on my side, I know that he has two gorgers, and so I really didn't have a consistent strategy. I started off separating my trebuchets because I didn't want one to be able to come in and wreak havoc on one and overrun into the other. But then I was having a problem trying to guard them. So what I did, and I probably wouldn't do this again, but I took on this side my Pegasus Knights and actually had him facing my side of the board just to try to stave off his gorger wherever he might come in at. And I wouldn't do that again because you never know when he's going to come in, and I think it's better just to get your troops out there and push up away from your trebuchets. And if you lose them to gorgers, then who really cares? So another factor that's playing into this game is all the terrain. We randomly rolled forward and came up with 10 pieces of terrain, and one of those was the village of bad guys or whatever. But anyway, it was like 3 buildings and 2 obstacles and a charnel pit. I mean, it was just crazy the terrain we have on the board, and it really affected how I could group my guys together. So here's the left side. So there's a charnel pit on the far left. It didn't really influence the game. So we got ogres turn 1. So he moves up just out of charge range for the most part, with the one exception being the giant there on the left. Here, I'll zoom in on it. He positioned him so that my monster-killing general couldn't see him, but it was brilliant the way he did it because he could still see my questing knights, even though it looked like he wasn't facing them. And so I wasn't thinking about him charging me on the next turn, which may or may not have affected my decision, but I think he did a brilliant job of positioning that giant. And this is the right-hand side of the board. Nothing of significance happened except the scrap launcher. It hit my battle standard bearer and the peasants. The BSB got a lookout from the Knights of the Realm, and they passed it anyway, their armor save, and the peasants lost eight of them, which felt pretty lucky because there was a whole bunch of those guys that were hit by the template. He has 2 scrap launchers. One of them misfired and ran away. He wasn't fleeing, but he had to move a random direction and distance, and so he couldn't shoot this turn and won't be able to shoot next turn. So I was pretty happy about that. So to go to Brett's turn 1. Well, I really wanted to charge his general with his giant with my general, and I just couldn't do it. And I was looking at the questing knights to charge that giant on the left, and my fear was that I wouldn't be able to break him, and I'd be stuck there and would get countercharged by all those bulls coming in. And again, I wasn't really thinking about him being able to see me, although if you look at it from this angle, he does. He sees the kind of the back end of my unit there. So I decided not to declare a charge with them. I did on the right-hand side with my knights errant. On that giant, they had to declare a charge or test, and because the errantry banner, they're -2, so they were charge or take a leadership test on a 5. So they had a failed charge. And on the left side, I really just repositioned the Grail Knights and this unit of Pegasus Knights, all just totally concerned about his Gorger that might come in the board sometime. So again, I didn't like that. And having the archers over here was another mistake because he was putting his regen magic spell on his own units, and with these guys with the flaming arrows, I could have done a wound with them, got rid of regen, and then landed stones on them. But I wasn't thinking about when I placed them over here, so I really wasn't able to take advantage of that. So there's right side of the board. The men-at-arms I just put in that house. In the next turn I'm just going to move them out, which I forgot to do, but that was the plan. And then landed a rock, even with regen. I did enough wounds to take a couple iron guts out of this unit. So it was a shame because I think I think regen saved him some. Regardless, we go to Ogre's turn 2. So a bunch of stuff is happening here. Got the surprise charge by the giant into my questing knights, And I'm okay with that as long as I could beat him this turn and give me the option of charging one of his deeper units next turn. The Gorger came on. If you look down, tell you what, I'll just go through the pictures. This is a close-up of the Questing Knights. The Gorger came on, and so he's facing my Battle Standard Bearer. Certainly he knows I'm going to move him, but he's still set up for a flank charge into my Knights Errant. And then this is on the right side, his giant charge my Questing Knights. Not a whole lot I could have done there. Like I said, I tried to charge him, and I failed to charge. He had a long roll he needed. I think he needed a 9 or a 10, but he got it. So we're just going to have to deal with that. So after combat, really kind of surprised. He only did 1 wound to my Questing Knights. I don't remember how many wounds they did on him. I can't quite see the marker. But regardless, he held, and that was kind of disappointing because it's going to take me at least till my next turn to finish him off, and by that time his other units are going to be on me. Here on the right, he killed none of my Knights Errant. I was surprised by that. We did 1 wound on him, but he had a charge. We had a wound, a banner, and 3 ranks, so we win by 4. He needs a 6, and he rolls under a 6. So that was disappointing. I was really hoping to break him in combat and have that free flank charge set up on his unit of bulls there at the top, but it wasn't to be. So Brett's turn 2. So starting at the left, you see my general charge into the flank of his giant. Really confident I'm going to kill the giant this turn, but the problem is my guys are going to be set up to be charged by his bulls and Iron Guts next turn. So not ideal, but not a whole lot else I could do at this point with it. If you look at the Knights of the Realm, charge his bulls with the Butcher on the right of the house. I left my men-at-arms in the house, really because I just forgot to move them out, but I probably would have left them anyway. There's no real great place for them to go. And I moved my Grail Knights and my Battle Standard Bearer around, 1, so my BSB wouldn't get charged by the Gorger, and 2, on the next turn, obviously the Gorger is going to charge my Knights Errant, and so I want my Grail Knights to be able to countercharge should my guys stick around. Now these guys, this is on the far left side. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I wanted my Pegasus Knights behind his lines, and I wasn't worried about his scrap launchers charging me. And I knew that he would have to take a test or he'd have to charge me, and I just really wasn't worried about it. I don't think a scrap launcher is being that great in combat, and I like the idea of just being behind his lines and ready to if I charge those units with somebody in front, I like the idea of my Pegasus Knights coming in the rear to support that. It's close up in the middle, my general coming in, and close up of those guys. And these, okay, so I gave up waiting for the second Gorger, and I turned these guys so that on my next turn I can either charge that giant in the flank, or I can take out these Noblars if I want to. I'm not really worried about them, but I might charge them if I need to save my Trebuchet. So after combat, he actually kills one of my guys. I don't do a wound on him this turn. He's sitting on 1 wound total. I win combat again, and he holds again. So now we're going to get flank charged by that Gorger, and I think I might get in trouble here. If you look at the bottom, the giant's dead. With all the trickiness of my general didn't kill him, but the Questing Knights were able to they did several wounds on the giant, and that finished him off. So glad the giant's gone, but it took us too long to do it because it's his turn next, and he's got all those units up top ready to charge in.